Hello and welcome to this video. It's actually the third time I'm doing it because I'm not really satisfied with how I was talking in English. But honestly, I know it's kind of hard for me, so forgive me if I will do some mistakes or a lot of pauses while doing to think what to say. I don't really have a script for this, forgive me. So I wanted to give like a sort of basic complete overview over BitZoke, but I think that maybe it's better if I just start from TAStudio and then at the end of the video I include like everything, single thing in BitZoke if someone is interested. But since the video should like be the main theme should be about how to TAS, how does TASing work, I think that's the best idea to just start from TAStudio. So here, just a couple things before I start. I'm using BitZoke as a one of the emulators you can use for TASing. It's pretty intuitive in a way once you know what you're doing, and works almost like any other emulator. You just put the BIOSes in the firmware, you just dump them from your PlayStation and use them there. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of stuff, and let's see. As you can see, these are the frames, so the TAS is playing. I'm using CTR TAS, and usually you have a bunch of save states that the TAStudio automatically fakes, but the truth is that after I finished the TAS, I cleared every save state to check if everything was synced. So I don't have that anymore, and usually you want to do that to refresh things and check if everything is okay and didn't break. You do that just by pressing clear zone here, so right click and clear green zone. So let's say we want to go to frame. No, actually that's too much, that will take a lifetime. Let's go here, so 2000, and I just click there and the cursor starts moving. I can uncheck follow cursor, so the TAS and the cursor will still play and go to that frame, but TAStudio won't actually follow it. And you can also use TurboSeek if you don't have save states and BitZoke is rushing to get some save states and get to that frame as fast as possible. You just have to do this once after you clear save states, of course. You can just use TurboSeek and it will go there as fast as your computer can handle. So while the TAS plays, I think I can cover a couple of things here. So as you can see, I'm at actually 3000 frames, but of course TAStudio stopped when I unchecked follow cursor. So here at the start near the BIOS we have some frames. I think this is a lag frame. Basically lag frames are the ones where you can't input, and generally Naughty Dog games are full of lag frames. What does this mean? It means that it's not really easy because you can't sync like a level. Let's say you finish the TAS and you wanna do something else in Crash Cove, which I don't, by the way, because it's fine. But what you can do, especially for CTR, it's that you can't only fix that level and like delete some frames or add some frames and copy paste the inputs and resynchronize the TAS, because the existence of lag frames not like a precise interval, so the whole TAS breaks. Basically you can't resync because of lag frames, so you miss some frames after you fix the part you want and the whole TAS breaks. So I don't know if I explained myself well, but basically cause of lag frames and inconsistency with the intervals between lag frames, because it depends on where you are, how the game handles the game in general. Usually Naughty Dog games are pretty heavy for PS6, were pretty heavy for PS6, so this is a common, not really an issue, but something that really made TASing hard for these games. Yeah, so here I have branches, which I don't have right now, but are basically save states for TAStudio. Let's say I take a branch here, and it took a save state of all the inputs there are in the TAS till that frame. When I took the branch, I can take another branch and test other things in 2 different branches and see if there's a difference. If what text saves the most, maybe I can take a branch before taking a speed ghost and checking 2 different paths or ways of handling the speed ghosts and such. So it's pretty handy. Markers are basically markers. You just can take a marker of frame 10,737, and even if you change inputs, that doesn't really matter. You can just like click here and go to that specific marker, like even when you're really far ahead in the task. So you can rename them, you can update to the branch to basically take another branch and overwrite the previous one. Recording mode, you can check it if you wanna test things with controller. So let's say, okay, so the task arrived here. So as I was saying, recording mode. So let's say you wanna play with controller. Okay, let me take a branch here. So I'll actually show you. So I took a branch here, I updated it. Now I will check recording mode. So see, it's disabling the old inputs, and I just giving the inputs from my controller. So once you're done, you've tested stuff, you can either like re-go to branch, you can load it, or if you want to keep some things you did with the controller and fix other stuff, you can do it like you can basically uncheck recording mode and then edit that out, but I won't do that now because yeah. So as you can see, I just double click on branches and everything goes back to normal. What else? See, marker just brought me here, not really a difference. Let's go to the branch now. Okay, so as you can see here, we have all the frames, like every single frame. The inputs you can give, these are custom. I mean, you can disable some inputs which don't matter at all in the task, like all these analog don't do anything, or select, etc. Yeah. So basically, CTR inputs frames from every frame, every other frame. So let's say here. Okay, so as you saw, from 12,195, the game draw. Like here it's static. I just progressed from 92 to 93 and nothing changed. But once I go to, okay, wait. Actually, I did a mistake. So from 91, oh yeah, okay. From 91 to 92 is static. Once I go to 93, it draws, like there is a progression of 1 frame, like the game goes by. That's because it's in 30 FPS, that's why there is a static and drawing frame. And I just put the input here, because if you, let's say I press square here, if you put inputs in static frames, that doesn't actually do anything. That, as you can see, I still have resolves here. So inputs there don't matter at all. And the best way, sometimes, it depends. If there is a lag frame, static frames are kind of weird, and they actually matter, but there aren't here in this particular case. So I just did this, which is rapid fire for Froggy, because, so as I said, it takes like inputs every other frame. So if I do this for L1, it's basically as if I never stopped pressing it. So I'm not really frogging. So the best way is to switch between L1 and R1 in TAS by giving an input and not giving it for 3 frames. So static frame, input frame, switch, static, switch, and we're back to L1. So that's what I used sometimes, depending on what I had to do. Sometimes I had to slide for a more couple frames, so I had to like do something like this, and it's still froggy. Humans can't really see this, but it makes a difference. And yeah, you can drag, of course, frames, but you don't really do it that much unless you're like starting or pressing X sometimes, or for some directional values like here. But yeah, it's pretty frame perfect. Actually, raw cubes is pretty fine, but it's point. But let's say Crash Cove, you have to do like everything. You have to change like things every 2-4 frames to go out of bounds. It's really annoying, I guess, because I don't really like TASing Crash Cove. So yeah, circle for items, etc, etc. Let's say you want to use like analog for extreme precise corner speed ghosts, edge speed ghosts, however you want to call it. And the dead zone for CTR goes from 70 to 180. So if I like put 90 here, it doesn't really do anything, because okay, hold on, where I was, I lost the frame where I was. Okay, it doesn't really do anything, because CTR only takes input from analog. Okay, so analog goes from 0 to 255 as the values you can input. It takes actually, but the game actually inputs from 0 to 71, like 71, and 181 to 255. So respectively from 0 to 71 for left values. So for like lighter touch of left, because left like this is just a 0. It's like let's say I wanna, okay, I do this, and instead of right, I just write 255. That doesn't change anything, it's the same, because when you're using the arrow keys, those ones are the maximum analog values. So when you want to do precise stuff, you can just do like 241, etc. But it doesn't really make a difference. Sometimes it doesn't even take like inputs unless you're doing something like 253 something. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's pretty useful for corner speed ghost though. What else? I mean, you can insert frames depending on what hotkeys you use. Just play that out. You can use, so as I was saying, autofire. I just check this, apply pattern to painted input, set custom, and let's say, yeah, I want to do like a rapid fire for R1. So on for 1 frame, off for 3 frames, as we said. Loop to 0, don't account for lag frames. And for like you have to right click to enable rapid fire. You press like with left click and hold. Actually, right, okay. As you can see, it does this. Yeah, if you don't do like custom rapid fire, it will just do like something like this, the basic standard for Bitzoke. What else? Okay, let me think. So that was rapid fire. You can insert frames, as I said. I use insert here if you want to like let's say I want to test it. Left does something in this frame, it doesn't. Oh fuck. Okay, let me do that again. So right there I use the right directional value. That doesn't do anything, or doesn't do what I want. Let's try that 1 frame later. You don't really have to do like this. I mean, you can, but it's not really efficient. So you can do this. Wait, it's not actually working. Okay, so you can insert frames, like blank frames, and it just drops the inputs down there. Yeah, that's it. I think you can copy paste. You can truncate movie, like it deletes everything that's after that. As you can see here, I'm really using a lot of the branch because it's really useful. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. I mean, pretty intuitive. Like you can start a few projects from now. So the moment here you are in TAS, or from save RAM, the memory card value, I believe you can rotate, which I'm not gonna do. That's really annoying. You can rotate like see the TAStudio markers with text if you fancy. What else? Autosave, just disable it because that's annoying. It like makes you stop TASing for like a minute if you have a PC like mine. So just use backup for save file and disabled autosave. So it's just set 0 there. You can save, of course, save backup, export to BK2, which is like the movie file. It's like a few kilobytes, so that's pretty useful if you wanna post it or share it or whatever. Save states history settings, just I gave it more RAM for performance and increased this save states gap. Otherwise, like the TAS was full of save states and was really heavy, and my PC could handle it, so it just increase or decrease the amount of state taken every some frames, every interval of frames. So you can hide like frames if you fancy. You can use icons. What did I think I covered everything here. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, of course you can also, like, let's say you wanna you don't really do that for more than 4 or 5 frames CTR because of corner SGs, but yeah, you can just like hold left click and drag inputs even for analog, and you can also do rapid fire for analog. So I'm gonna close the TAS now because I think I said everything for you. So let's just go quickly over the other stuff. So if you're TASing, you want to disable like memory cards most of the time and just put dual analog instead of dual shock. Just want to avoid lag and just put nothing on the second controller. You can use, I mean, the choice for me is between for resolution management, it's Pixel Pro or Nothing, but Pixel Pro lets you have like the Lua scripts on the left and the right. Nothing doesn't really allow that, so you don't have space for it. What else? There is RAM search. I mean, just RAM searching, and it's basically a cheat engine. So RAM search you can use to find some values, understand some logic of the game, etc. You can use like display and sign in hexadecimal. Depends on what you want to search. You can freeze them after you found them. You can poke them. You want to bring them to 2 or whatever. You can test stuff out. Yeah. RAM watch is basically values you've exported and saved, so you can open the game again and already have those values there without RAM searching every time. Lua console is basically just the console for Lua scripts you can use, as you can see. Hex editor, it's a hex editor. It's pretty useful in conjunction with RAM search sometimes. Basic bot, I should have covered this in in TAStudio, but don't really use it that much in CTR, and I'm not super experienced with it. So you get, let's say I put the speed value address here, and you wanna like set the bot to test stuff out indefinitely until it, let's say it gets a value for a speed ghost over 24,000, and here I put like the speed value, so the RAM value, and you tell like you give the bot I want to say the importance, like the the priority over some keys while testing random stuff out. So you just let with branches, you can use different branches with slots, and you just you basically are saying to the bot like test stuff out, change inputs or whatever for in loop for 100 frames, like before you getting a corner speed ghost, for example, and just take the best attempt. But there aren't actually controls for analog values, so I test this, but I never used it because it didn't really work for CTR. I guess it can be useful for other games, but yeah. What else? Display, I mean, these are, I don't really need to cover this. You can just do whatever you like here. These are my settings. So these are my hotkeys. You can toggle throttle is just to speed things up when you're playing. So just a turbo button. Space, I mean, yeah, these are my hotkeys. I don't use hotkeys that much because yeah, most of the time, I mean, the ones that are useful to me are frame advance, pause, toggle throttle, increase or decrease speed, save states values. Load state 0 and save state 0 are on the controller because it's easier if I'm doing like recording mode on TAStudio, and some things for TAStudio, but like this can be useful for increments of analog, but that's it. What else? Yeah, you can disable sound, can save some frames when TASing. Firmwares, you just, maybe I already said it, yeah, you just put biases there, profiles, whatever you need, you can check, and yeah, here you have the profile on tool-assisted speedruns. You don't really need this, you can check on TAStudios, tasvideos.org documentation, but you don't really need this unless your PC isn't handling the time correctly. What else? Yeah, display frame per second. Yeah, the status bar messages are like these ones, you can see. So, and this one's in the upper section. You can reboot core after you've done a bunch of settings. You set a bunch of stuff, you can reboot core and save, usually, because if after you set some settings and BitZo crashes, nothing is saved. So you either wanna save settings, change settings and just close BitZo can reopen it, or don't do this. And the rest is just open ROM, recent ROM, save state, lost states, save lot, save RAM. As I said, is basically memory card stuff. So after you use the memory card to save stuff, just go here and flush save RAM. Screenshots, AVI. If you want to record like the Lua scripts I use, for example, on the left and right on the screen, you need to check like Capture SD, which are basically every other thing on screen that are not on the game, like from the game itself. You can usually for recording videos I use AVI writer and disable alternate sync if I'm recording in NTSC, but usually you wanna check it if you're recording from PAL. And here you can record full frames uncompressed, but that's really, I don't know, they weigh a lot and doesn't work for long movies. So you can still use a lossless codec, which is Lagarit. You can just unload it. Yeah, here you can play movies. So after like you export a BK2 from TAStudio, you can play it here, and yeah, use the settings you want for playing it. And I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and see ya.